I'm excited about being here and doing this was when I was about your age, I was in and out of jail. And if you had predicted my future doing anything with prisons, it would have been as a participant, not as a person that's helping to make some tapes that gives people tools to find their way out and to stay out. And so as we develop these tools, the challenge to your thinking that helps you get out and stay out and how you can apply it to your life, hope that we'll all realize that we have an opportunity not only to change directions in our own life, but this can be used as a teaching tool to help others learn how to apply these thinking errors. You remember we talked about that when somebody bothers you or when you start to do something that's illegal, you have these two little men, one on each shoulder. All of you have them? And Elmo will talk to you, won't he? Elmo will say things to you like, you got a right to do what you feel like doing. Elmo will tell you another lie. Elmo will say to you, you don't care what happens to you, go ahead and hit her. When you stood before that judge, you found out Elmo was lying to you. Because when you stood before that judge, you didn't say, Your Honor, just give me whatever you want to. I don't care what happens to me. You see, you found out Elmo had lied to you. That's not too bad. Elmo lies to everybody. The problem is when you listen to him and do what he says. Elmo will tell you got rights that you don't have. Elmo will talk about quick and easy, thrill and excitement. He will always talk to you about your rights, never about your responsibilities. Every time I went to jail, I was arguing about my rights. I got a right to walk the white line. Man, we had to help you down here. I said, doesn't matter, I got a right to walk the white line. I thought I had the right till he got his billy out and I decided I didn't have any more rights. I made this statement, foolish statement perhaps on my part to make. I said, self-control is more important than your freedom. Man said to me, you can say that, you're going home tonight. But freedom's the most important thing to me, and we got into this discussion. My thesis was this. Freedom is less important than self-control. You all had freedom, and you didn't exercise self-control. Nobody has ever been ordered to one of my court-ordered classes for exercising too much self-control. When you serve your time, you will again have freedom. So you've had freedom, and you're going to have freedom. But you will not retain your freedom if you don't exercise appropriate self-control. I tell them about a kid, or a guy I knew by the name of Wayne Wilbanks, and I said Wayne died because he was afraid to be afraid. He got a reputation. He got hit in the head with a bullet, but it hit a glancing blow. And so, having hit the glancing blow, it didn't kill him. Now he has a reputation to live up to. Guy pulls up to the beer joint one night. Wayne goes out to calm him down. Has a shotgun. Hit Wayne in the aorta and blew him away. He bled to death before he could get to the ER. And I said to them, listen, my friend Wayne died because he was afraid to be afraid. Who controlled whom? You allow a person with an attitude. I say some of you guys let an officer with an attitude control you. You ever let an officer with an attitude control you? Say, well, he pulled my string. I say, why you won't be his puppet? Well, he punched my button. I said, why you won't be a robot? Well, he rang my bell. I said, disconnect the doorbell. An officer with an attitude can arrest any one of our clients if they don't get beyond this. They don't recognize. And I say, when you react with power to a man in power, who's going to lose? Then he told me the probable cause for which he pulled me over. You know what that's like? There was a Caucasian up the street that had been harassing a couple little girls. I happened to be the first Caucasian along. You ever get pulled over because of the color of your skin? Mama told me don't ever get in a stinking contest with a skunk. You can kill that skunk, what you gonna smell like? Don't ever get in a mud-slinging contest with a hog, because both of you going to get muddy and one of you going to enjoy it. And don't ever get in an argument with a fool, because somebody looking on ain't going to know who the fool is. In almost all dysfunctional families, there's what they call a star. The star is that family member that calls the shots. With respect to that star, or that person that's in charge, there are a lot of family secrets. As a matter of fact, there's so many family secrets that often incest is revealed the next generation. For example, many of the persons that I've had that came into the office that dealt with incest did not deal with it when it actually happened, because whatever the star does in that family is a secret. And everybody in that family keeps their mouth shut about what he does. When you've got what you want from the world and its wealth, and the world makes you king for a day, just go to the mirror and look at yourself and see what that man has to say. For it isn't your mother or sister or wife upon whose judgment you pass. The one whose verdict counts most in your life is the one looking back from the glass. The world may say you're a straight shooting chum and call you a wonderful guy, but the man in the glass says you're just a bum if you can't look him straight in the eye. It's his judgment that counts. Forget all the rest. He'll be with you clear to the end. And you've passed life's most awesome, difficult task when the man in the glass is your friend. You may go through life and down through the years, get pats on the back as you pass, but your life will end in heartache and tears if you cheat the man in the glass. But a woman's ear often gets her in trouble. She goes home and tries to talk about things. He don't want to hear it. But there's somebody smart enough at work to know that the ear is the key. And he asks her how she feels. And every time she has a concern, he listens. And all of a sudden, though she don't want to, she finds herself feeling an attraction for that person. Now understand, it has nothing to do with looks. He may be uglier than homemade sin. I mean, he may be a whole lot older and look like he could eat a roast near through a picket fence. But if he knows how to listen, there is an emotional attraction, and it's being cut off at home, and there's no caring there, and she'll find herself attracted often to him, even though she doesn't want to be. So what we find here is unrestrained and unexpressed feelings are likewise harmful. And I often say to my kids, you can disagree with me anytime you want to. You can express that disagreement, but you cannot use any kind of language you want to express that disagreement. You cannot do it in a threatening manner. They can never honestly confront the person they have an issue with. They're always bounding it off of somebody else and giving only their side of the story. They learn indirect communication, and it renders them very ineffective. It's what you call triangulation of communication, and it adds to the total dysfunction of the family. You can identify in adolescents that are habitually in trouble. That same basic kind of thinking errors. And we're beginning even to work with elementary school, because many of these kids can be identified early on. And we're identifying these thinking patterns and ways to counter it. And then working with a group called Welfare to Work, we find out that the easy thing is to get these people jobs. The difficult thing is to change their thinking or challenge their thinking so that they keep jobs. And so again, we find that at the very core of it are certain thinking patterns that need to be challenged. And so it is with substance abuse. We find that when we apply these thinking errors to substance abuse, not only does it reduce the amount of use, but they can be used as signs of relapse. Or if you're thinking a certain way, you've already relapsed in your thinking, you will eventually relapse in your behavior. But then, after that, I've got some good news and bad news. You know about the good news, bad news, right? Good news was the man won a trip in an airplane. Bad news was he fell out. Good news, there was a haystack underneath the airplane. The bad news, there was a pitchfork in the haystack. The good news was he missed the pitchfork. Bad news was he missed the haystack. Now my wife has a more succinct way of saying that. She says, "Honey, you want the good news or the bad news?" And I say, "Give me the good news first." And she says, "The good news is the airbags work." You got the rest. Well, there's good news, bad news. I'm going to give you the bad news first. The bad news is, as I began to examine those thought patterns, I found that not only do they apply to the criminal, to the person that's incarcerated, but I found that many times they were thinking errors that were in my own life. And what's true of me, I'm convinced, is also true of you. And as I begin to work with that, I begin to recognize that there is a biblical counter for every one of these thinking errors.